Hello and welcome to News Plus and Viewer Television. My name is Joy Malik. Now, the Registrar of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, Professor Ishak, has ruled out exploitation in the course of its revenue generation. Now, Professor Ishak said, contrary to the positions of critics who argue that JAMB should not generate funds for the government, the charges are minimal compared with similar charges within and outside Nigeria. He said the board had remitted over 50 billion naira to the federal government in the last 6 years. Now, he spoke in Abeokuta, Ogun State, while delivering a public lecture as part of the 13th Gagura Day celebration. He said the surplus funds include over 29 billion naira directly returned to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, 11 billion naira disbursed on capital projects, and savings of about 6 billion naira, among others. Now, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control said it had transitioned from weekly case announcement for COVID-19 to bi-weekly situation reports. The NCDC disclosed this in its public health advisory on the relaxation of COVID-19 safety measures and travel advisory issued on its website. The federal government on Monday relaxed COVID-19 safety measures and the travel advisory following the sustained reduction in COVID-19 infection and transmission across the country. The NCDC, however, advised Nigerians to get vaccinated and complete their vaccination dose. And on email flood, the Niger Delta Development Commission has commenced the distribution of relief materials to communities affected by the recent floods in Imo State. Now, speaking during the handover of the NDDC Imo State Office, Owerri, the Commission's acting manager director, Emmanuel, said it was part of the NDDC's intervention to ameliorate the sufferings of the people of the affected areas. Now, this was contained in a statement by the NDDC Director, Corporate Affairs, Dr. Ibi Toye, and made available to newsmen in Port Harcourt. Now, Emmanuel, who was represented by the Director of Health and Social Services, Dr. Judge, said the gesture was in continuation of the Commission's intervention. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has commended the Federal High Court in Abuja for setting aside contempt proceedings and a committal order against him. Now, this was as he reiterated the commitment of the Nigerian Police Force under his watch to uphold and respect the rule of law and ensure the continuous protection of the fundamental rights of all persons. Recall the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, presided over by Justice Bolaji Olajuwon on Wednesday, set aside the contempt proceedings and committal order against the office of the IGP. The court similarly discharged and acquitted the IGP of the conviction and 3-month sentence. Now, following the 5-day sit-at-home order that has led to the killing of many residents in the southeast recently, Nigerians all over the world are signing a petition appealing to the Finnish government, Nigerian government, and the European Union to arrest Simon Ekpa, the brain behind the order. As of the time of filing this report, 2,761 people on Thursday had signed the petition seeking for Ekpa's arrest. Now, Ekpa, a self-acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, in a viral video, ordered the people of the southeast to observe a sit-at-home from December 9 to 14, 2022, an order that has been marked by bloodshed and destruction of lives and properties in the region of its enforcers. Although IPOB, through its media and publicity secretary Emmanuel Powerful, denied over-issuing any sit-at-home order on the days mentioned above, violence has continued to reign in the region. Now, let's take it to Bauchi State and how the Bauchi State Governor Bala Muhammad recently assented to the law on violence against persons prohibition. A section of the law has made provisions for free medical service to the survivors of sexual and gender-based violence by all medical personnel in the state. Now, Chief Magistrates with the Bauchi State Judiciary, Amina Garuba, while speaking to Viewer Television's Our Hassan, says the law also provides for punishment to any medical personnel or health service provider who fails to comply, which is 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 500,000 naira. The reports.
The amended version of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition VAP law, which was recently assented to by the Bauchi State Governor Bala Muhammad, is one of the giant efforts by the state government aimed at combating sexual and gender-based violence. Part of the law made provisions for taking care of the survivors of GBV.
Yes, there's a provision under the amended VAP law that was signed into law yesterday by the governor, His Excellency, the governor of Bauchi State. And the provision provides for the right of survivors to free medical intervention, treatments, and services. So it's now mandatory for all hospitals to offer free services to survivors of GBV. So whether rape or any other forms of sexual and gender-based violence, the hospitals are mandated to provide quick and free medical services. And it's punishable under the law when any medical personnel or health service providers or doctor violates this provision. And the punishment for it is about 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 500,000 naira.
The question here becomes, does the law apply to both public and private healthcare facilities?
The law does not differentiate between public hospitals and private hospitals. So all hospitals are supposed to provide the services. But remember that the evidence that the courts use are evidence generated from government hospitals. So we should see it like it's government hospitals now, because if you want to actually use the evidence, you have to go to the government hospitals to get treatments and investigations.
Zoe Baba is a gender desk officer of the Bauchi State Ministry of Health. She says this is a welcome development as the state is striving to achieve universal health coverage.
With the signing of the VAV law, I think I would say we are on the same page, because we have a lot of even international donors that are currently supporting the state in terms of health with provisions of equipment as well as commodities at facility level to ensure that our people have access health and get the necessary medical intervention they deserve.
The need for service providers at both public and private health facilities in the state to strictly adhere to this law has therefore been emphasized. Awal Hassan, VOA TV News, Bauchi.
Now let's take a look at the 2023 general election and how the All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that they will not regret voting him into power in 2023 general elections. Now the All Progressive Congress presidential flag bearer made the affirmation known during a massive turnout campaign in Kaduna State. The presidential aspirant Bola Tinubu says if elected into office, his government will create jobs to youth and provide enabling environment for farmers to go back to farm with inputs to enhancing agricultural production. Also, the Kaduna State Governor Nasir Arifai commended the good people of the Northwest for coming to Kaduna State to grace the rally, while enjoined them to ensure they vote for the APC at all levels in next year's election into power.
I have nothing to say but to thank the people of Kaduna State, the people of Northwest, our young people, our women. I have nothing to say but to thank you all.
Also in attendance to grace the rally are the governors of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, and Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawale, among other top government officials. Oh, that's all we can take on Top Stories. Many thanks for watching. I am Joy Malik. Do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye for now.